All right, well, let's start off with a few introductions here. So I am Derek Louden, Client Development Director here at Basis Technologies. Just a couple of quick words about Basis, formerly known as Centro. We are an ad tech organization with enterprise level software enabling both brands direct and agencies who are working with brands to activate their paid digital media. Our platform Basis allows customers to plan, buy, optimize, analyze, and report on all of their paid digital media, including search, social, programmatic, and direct. Simply said, Basis makes the lives of our partners more efficient, more effective. Now on to our guest, Janet Lee. Janet, you want to say a few words?
Sure. Hi, I'm Janet. I have the privilege and pleasure of leading marketing for the mobile business within Samsung Electronics America, and we're based in Plano, right here.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you to everybody for being here. Thank you to Brand Innovators for putting on such a wonderful event. So let's get started here, Janet, by talking about your background. You've worked in a range of industries and a range of brands across the globe. And as you look back on your journey across categories and across brands, what are some of the challenges as you reflect back on transitioning to Samsung into a totally new category?
So when you start a new role in a new company, in a new space, there are different types of challenges. I guess one is just learning the category. So prior to Samsung, most of my career was spent in beauty. So selling skincare, selling fragrance, going from that to selling smartphones is quite a transition. So learning, but I think most marketers would agree that learning new category part is actually not that challenging, right? It's not that big of a deal. And then another type of challenge or learning that you have to go through is learning the lay of the land, because every company is different. And I guess what drives the lay of the land primarily is who has the biggest say in decision making, right? So that getting used to that and understanding the relationship dynamics when it comes to driving the business and decision making, that's second type of challenge. And third is cultural. Can I show up wearing a dress with my back open? That was a legit question for me working at Samsung, because it was a yes when I worked at L'Oreal. My back could be completely, open and nobody cared. Not so much at Samsung. So, so learning that, I joked that when I started, I have a lot of beautiful scarves, and they're like, "Oh, you must love scarves." I'm like, "No, I needed them because most of my wardrobe came with plunging neckline, and I had to cover. That's just part of learning the culture. So there are different types of challenges, right? So for me, the biggest one was a second challenge, because I'm so used to organizations where marketing was end all be all, yay, for those companies. So understanding that that wasn't the case in tech space, because technology drives demand, technology drives, desire in the consumer in the minds of consumers. So it wasn't so much led by marketing, right? Everything did not start and end with marketing. So understanding that and figuring out my value add as a marketer in such an organization, that was the biggest challenge. And being okay with that. You can't be constantly disgruntled. In my previous life, I made all the decisions. You can't do that, right? So understanding the scope of your authority, understanding ways in which you can maximize the value that you can bring to the table. I think that's in any transition, that's the biggest challenge.
Okay, well, you said something there that I'm going to latch on to, and that's the finding where your value add is going to be coming into a new organization. So I'll put you on the spot. And when you got to Samsung, let's talk about what were some of those short-term, medium-term, long-term strategic goals that you had for driving the business?
So this is my sixth year at Samsung. So I spent my first 2 years over on HQ side, so based out of Seoul, Korea, actually Suwon. So it's just like the New Yorkers, when live in Jersey City and you say I live in New York, people will take offense to that. So where Samsung is based is Suwon, so not Seoul, not the city proper. So anyway, so I was based there for about 2 years. My goal when I started there, I think it was very personal. I was always curious about, I'm Korean American. So I was always curious about how business people did business in Korea in Korean, and how professionals, what professional experience was like working for a Korean company. And Samsung is like the Korean company in Korea. So what big part of that is that can I be successful in a completely different market, different country, different culture? So that was that. I think my real challenge started when I took on this my current role about 4 years ago, when I moved to Texas, to Plano. Um, and at that time, my objective was very clear. I needed to build a marketing organization. Um, just a little bit of background about Samsung US, Samsung America. We were, there's mobile business, well, which is the biggest. And then there's, consumer electronics like C business. There's home entertainment, which includes TV or speakers. And then there's digital appliances like your washer, dryer, refrigerator. So I work in for the mobile business, and we were all based out of New Jersey as the U.S. headquarters. And we came back to Texas where, we initially started the telecom side, the mobile side of the business. So we all relocated, and in that process, so a lot of marketers decided to stay in New Jersey, in New York area. So when I came and took on this role, I inherited a very small team, and but the business doesn't stop. It said, okay, now you have a small team, you don't have to launch. It doesn't work that way, right? So we have to constantly launch, and then COVID happened. So I recruited majority of my team members during COVID. So at that time, my goal was build a marketing organization pretty much from scratch. So quickly build an organization, but I had a goal, not just any organization. I told my boss, I'm going to build minimum on average A minus team. So everybody had to be like more or less A minus or up, right? So I think I did that. If you guys heard some of my team members speak today, I hope it came through. If they didn't, do let me know. No, no. So that was my goal. I think at that time maybe we had 20 people. I don't even know. It felt like we had 4 people, but maybe around 20. We are over 80. And in that process, we in-house a lot of functionality, so capability. So we have internal creative services team, which we didn't have before. We have internal influencer marketing strategy team, which we didn't have before. What else do you have? Oh, social media. We in-house, community management, all of that. So we have a truly full capability marketing organization. So that was my goal, and it took a while, but yeah, we accomplished, if I may say so myself.
Yeah, a nice vote of confidence for the Samsung team in here. Way to go, guys. And so I'm sure we've talked about, we've heard lots of discussions around the impact of COVID, remote work. Now we're kind of coming out of that. People are trying to figure out, okay, are we fully remote? Are we half in the office, half not? Like, what's going to be the policy? And Janet, in our conversation yesterday, you had mentioned the challenge of recruiting across different talent pools. And so maybe speak a minute about how you are ensuring that not only you're keeping those, I'm going to call you A plus players on your team, but also making sure that you're recruiting the best and the brightest for the teams that you continue to build.
So in the beginning, I think up until maybe year and a half ago, we were, my team and I were just head down, get things done, because supporting all the launches, and we have many launches. Unlike our biggest competitor, we have 2 flagship launches a year. They only have 1. Um, uh, I didn't mean it that way. It was a fact. I was just stating the fact. But while while we're constantly supporting the business, because the business doesn't skip a beat, right? So while we're doing that, we're recruiting and building, and then we're building out new capabilities in housing and establishing new partnerships, onboarding new agencies, cleaning up everything. So while we're doing that, we didn't look sideways. We were so focused, and then we realized, well, yes, we got the headcount, we got, approval for more headcount, and we want to build out the team. And as I bring in leaders, they have their individual visions about what creative services should look like, what social, media team should look like. We couldn't hire fast enough the type of talents we wanted. So then we kind of said, what is the problem? And my team said, well, nobody knows we're here. And then one, two, nobody knows how good we are. Number three, nobody knows that we have a gigantic budget that allows you to do a lot of cool stuff. Um, yes, I plugged that in right there. And then nobody knows that we have high caliber team that you're going to have fun working with. So that's when I said, okay, stop. We need to do some external marketing. So I signed up for Brand Innovators. And because I think it was Iris who said that, I'm here to do marketing. I'm not here to go, speak on at events. That's when I said, okay, everybody, this is a recruiting strategy. You need to sign up for external speaking. So we need to go. I'm like, shame on us if we can't market ourselves to attract talents. So that's it. This is a concerted effort, and this is a very deliberate effort on our part. That's why you see five of us here today. Um, yeah. So that's it. That's and the reality is that I'm used to the New York tri-state area pool of marketers. It's a different landscape here. You don't have that luxury, right? To be honest with you, those people are willing to work for you for less money in New York. But because the location is attractive, I guess. So yeah, I mean, we figured it out, and we've done different things. My team is amazing in that they're proactive problem solvers. They manage the team. We co-manage the team. We're partners. My leadership and I we're partners. So they come up with ideas. We've done case study challenge at McCombs Business School in order to put ourselves out there. And after that, I got so many LinkedIn messages, and I get a lot of LinkedIn messages, and some of them interviewed with us. So we're doing what we can because our recruiters, our HR partners are great, but it's not fair to expect them to speak to marketing as well as we can, right?
The irony of ironies that a massive marketing organization with resources isn't marketing to people they want to be on the teams.
Yes.
Let's change gears here for a second. How are we doing on time? Perfect. Theme of this event is the future of marketing innovation. So seems like every year, maybe it's just the past 3 or 4 years, there's a new shiny object to go chasing after. When we talked, you said that you would strangle the next person that talked to you about the metaverse. So warning to everybody out there. A couple years ago, it was Web3 and crypto. And show of hands, any NFT holders out there still holding on? Everybody sold?
They're not going to win.
All right. This year it's Chat GPT and AI and Midjourney and large language models and all that stuff. So you positioned yourself to me as more of a marketing traditionalist that doesn't like getting distracted by the shiny object. So how do you keep your teams focused on what's really important from a marketing perspective to make sure that you're driving the higher level strategies that you put so much work into crafting?
So all these new tools, new trends, new platforms, we view we of course as marketers you need to keep up with what's new. I'm not saying we'll completely ignore trends. So we're very, very well versed in whatever's going on, anything that newly emerges. But um, they're all at the end of the day means to an end. Your business objectives, your marketing objectives, strategies, they don't change, right? Now you what is changing is the mix of tools available to you, right? So we assess any shiny new object just as that. Can we do better with this new tool? Can we drive better results on this new platform? That's it. But quickly, if you don't have that kind of, I guess, centered, disciplined approach, then it is so easy to forget what your objectives are and kind of using that, getting on that new platform or using that new tool quickly become the end goal. So my team and I, we stay very focused on our business objective. They don't change. And how we get there may change depending on the resources available to you, the technology available to you. So the, in that sense, I call myself traditionalist. I'm very disciplined in the way I stick to my business objectives, and focus on the target audience and what I'm trying to accomplish vis-a-vis the target audience. Um, and I'm okay talking about anything new. Chat GPT, we can talk about that. We actually did one big activation in Metaverse, so we were probably the one of the first brands in tech space to have Roblox game. We did do that and delivered, but we didn't do it because it was, Metaverse was all the rage. We did it because, we treated it as one of the channel options in reaching our target audience. So we did just that, and we did it performed fine, and we got some learnings, and then things changed because priorities changed.
Yeah, I think you were talking about how you've seen people get it backwards, where you have the tools and you start there and you almost have the tools dictate your strategy, where the way that you should really be going about it is saying, okay, who is my target consumer? How can I best engage with them where they are? And then let your tactics and your strategy flow from that, right?
Yes, I see that happening all the time, all the time. I'm actually quite fascinated by how humans um, quickly confuse um, the objective and the meaning, and then you know your objective is what it is. That shouldn't change, right? But the one of the means to get to the objective quickly becomes the end goal. That happens a lot. So we didn't do metaverse. We didn't do Roblox game to do Roblox game because we just had to do it because everybody else was doing it. But you know, you know who you are. If you're guilty of doing it just because everybody else is doing it, don't do that.
So, making sure that you're staying plugged in with the signal and not the noise is important. But staying plugged in with trends, as you mentioned, is important. So talk for a second about trends that your team is watching, and how you feel they align with your team's mission as you're driving that business forward.
So at the end of the day, what we're most interested in is how our target audience is going to behave, what our target audience is thinking, what they're feeling, how they're perceiving the world as different things happen, right? So um, I think we're tracking our audience, and that means knowing the trends that are appealing to them, the trends that they're that that are that they're catching on to, right? So for me, it's more than the trends themselves. It's part of tracking and monitoring, observing our target audience. Following them is what we do. Um, so a few things. We One of the long-term evergreen challenges, objectives we have is driving relevance with the younger audience. So when it comes to Gen Zs, especially, I am keenly interested in any changing behavior in their content consumption. So where do they consume content? Which platform? So like I'm everywhere just to see what they're looking at. I may not agree with everything that that they like, but I try to understand what they're consuming, what kind of content, where, and then I don't myself watch all the shows, but I try to keep up with like what's popular, um, because we're advertisers, right? So I need to understand how they're consuming content and where I can plug myself um, in the most authentic and organic way without disrupting what my audience is trying to do. So content consumption is a big thing that we look at, and then also when it comes to socio-political topics, how do they feel about certain topics? What's taking them, what's important to them. So all of that we watch. Any new emerging platforms, obviously, we pay attention to. So yeah, and then me personally, I'm a huge K culture junkie. So I mean, I think Netflix is on fire with Korean content. So yeah.
We have time for a few questions. 5 minutes. Okay. I'm going to throw it out to the audience here. Any questions for Janet about anything we have talked about, or maybe something totally new? NFTs you want to hide? No.
Like I said earlier, you need to kind of define what success looks like for you and your team, and you need to define the value that you want to generate for the organization, for the company, right? So one, I said I'm gonna make, I don't know if I should say kick ass marketing team. So that, and I quantified it for my boss. I want to have an A- team. So I did that. Um, I wanted to show Samsung how consumer centric marketing is done. I did that. Me and my team together, we did that. Um, and I said we have our team mission and team values and ways of working. All of that is very clearly defined, and it's part of our onboarding. But one of these things, we we know, my team and I, especially my leadership team, we know is that we have to we're we're at the table on behalf of the consumer, because in tech space, consumers, I mean, the when you invest so much in R&D because technology is so important in tech space, obviously, right? Um, so sometimes it, you know it's the technology drives everything versus the consumer needs and wants, right? So marketing is there to speak for the consumer, right? So one of the things that we said we would do is we're going to drive consumer centric thinking for the organization, for the entire company. So we stay very true to that mission, and we always say, well, that's not how the consumer sees it. That's not how the consumer is going to understand it. What does programmed camera mean to the consumer, right? Like we're always the ones to ask that question. And I think that, well, over time, we have to believe over time that's going to sink in, and that is going to change, the broader organizational thinking, right? So yeah, that's our value add.
Time for one more. Okay.
Um, Good question. So for all the different capabilities that we in-house, it's not 100%. It's shared R&R between my team and our external partners. So, media, whereas before, um, it was 100%, I want to say it was close to 100% also. Now we have a team on our side, and then we also have a very, I'll say this, a very, very effective agency. So it's teamwork, it's partnership. Same for creative. We have creative service team. Before project management, even managing the library of assets, I think at some point it was outsourced. Now we have internal creative services team, and we have external partner that works with us. Same for influencer marketing. We drive the strategy because we are sitting, inside with the other functional teams. We're very close to the business, so we have to drive influencer marketing strategy. But there's a big value add, by our agency, external agency. So it's partnership. So it's not that nothing is 100% in-house. I don't know if anybody operates that way. Programmatic, I think we did think about that. It's just a matter of priorities, right? And then also, resources, headcount. So it's not always straightforward. Oh, if I can save this much money by in-housing on an annual basis, can I have 5 more headcount? It's not that part. It doesn't work that way, right? It's yeah. So different KPIs are managed simultaneously. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, let's keep this thing on schedule. Janet, thank you so much.
Thank
you to all
you.
you.